Group
Have
sex?
you ever felt emotional love?
I'm not trying to be the best at exercising, bro.
I beat both your asses in a stand-up fight.
Why would I do just a stand-up fight with you? That makes no sense.
This dude over here slumped over. People don't even know how to fuck.
They don't. They don't. Yeah, that could have ended subspectrum forever. If someone paralyzed, like.
So with me today, Jordan Marshall, who has now a multi-state tents and events business. I want to talk to him a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some jiu-jitsu and some other topics with him. He's a jiu-jitsu competitor. I have also here with me today my good friend, Phil Lumley. Phil Lumley is a brown belt and active jiu-jitsu competitor. He helps out at Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu Academy with our kids program, with our competition team, and is really kind of becoming one of those people that's kind of the heart and soul of Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu Academy. So thank you, bro, for being on the podcast today. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks for having us.
Being on. Yeah, man. So I think, Phil, you were telling me you wanted to hear more about Jordan's business too and like what he's been doing with that.
Miss that goofy.
Yeah, why don't, like, you started just, walk us back a little bit. You started just like 2 years ago?
Well, so I mean, I've been in the event industry for a decade. So I had a buddy that has an event business, and for like years, he was telling me to start a tent company, a tent rental company. And I started 2021, like the summer, and I had a couple accounts already lined up, and I didn't really think it was going to take off. And then, I had low expectations on it, but the first year was actually pretty good for the first year, and then the next year was 3 times what I did the first year. So it's been growing pretty well.
How far along were you when we met?
A year. So I was already through my first year, and then I was coming into my second year, and I started getting deposits for that year.
Okay, hell yeah.
So I was like, oh, this year's going to be good. But I didn't think it was going to. I kind of actually, honestly, I stumbled across a formula that I don't know if I could do it again like I did. So I don't know if it's necessarily the right way to go about it, but it works. It provides my freedom, and I can train when I want.
Yeah, you've grown the business a lot too. And now you have down in Charleston, South Carolina, you're doing the same thing. You just repeated the same model and started doing the tents and events business down there. I think your sister's been helping you with that. Has that been just do the exact same thing you were doing up here? Maybe they use different kinds of tents down there, but
So they're a little more bougie. They're a lot more people from New York City fly down to Charleston to get married. So I have to buy like these like big clear top tents. I mean, they do use a lot of those higher end tents, but it's like very rare here. There, it's there all the time, so I have to spend more money in equipment that I don't have. But the business is definitely bigger there than it is here. But the nice thing about being in Charleston, I've realized that my formula works.
I mean, you have the opportunity to, like, just the environment. You can go all year round, can't you?
Yeah, well, I could teach you the formula. You can go to a different state and do it, and make $100,000 a year at least.
yeah, you've done it here with Central Iowa Tents and Events. You've done it with Charleston Tents and Events.
But I didn't know it was a fluke until
In the
I was
north and in the
Charleston.
south. In the north and in the south, that's 2 different markets, too, and different types of events and weather conditions, and so you kind of have to have different hardware and tents and stuff. But yeah, I mean, your model could work anywhere. It's one of those businesses. It's so simple to me because you're renting, you're buying things and you're renting them back and getting a return on those assets.
How many employees
and
do you
add
have now?
your assets?
Just me, my sister's now on board, and then I have 3 guys part time. I'm at the point where I need to hire a full time guy here.
Yeah.
I'm just having a hard time stepping away from the reins, and that's where I'm at right now. I mean, it has the potential to be $1 million business here in Iowa. The competitor here is $5 to $10 million. I'm not sure. I want to say they're at least $5 million. Potentially could be $10 million. But I gotta bring somebody on board to be able to make it that way. Otherwise, I can make a decent chunk of change off of this business, and then
Just
grow
not
my business.
maximize it, though.
You need somebody mainly for just like operations, right? Just set up.
Yeah, I need
things
someone.
like that.
I need a person, a foreman. A guy that's gonna
Like
be
a-
able
yeah,
to-
exactly, a foreman, yeah.
and that runs crews and makes sure things gets done properly. The hardest part is having someone that's a finger pointer, and then they keep everybody in line and make sure everything gets done, effectively.
Pay me enough, I'll fucking put my finger anywhere, bud.
So that's the hard part. That's the hard part I'm having right now. Is like, so if I take on people that have families and stuff like that, and I'm like not 100% positive that Connie might take a shit,
yeah, dude,
things might fail, and then all of a sudden I have this person to rely on, man, because I'm, I can take care of myself just fine, and then take care of some guys, on part time wise, but I've
Yeah,
never hired a full-time
You may
guy,
be,
so I
you
don't
may
know.
be a little brash, but you're a good dude at the end of the day. You don't want to fuck somebody's family over.
Yeah, and you want to take you
That'll
want
be on
no,
your
I don't.
conscience.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and you want to take care of people too, because you were saying even though it's seasonal, you were looking to pay somebody like year round pretty much. And maybe
Yeah.
you'd find something else for them to do in the off season, but
Yeah, so I was thinking, I was tossing up the idea because I got my buddy that helped me start the tent business, but he had to step away. And we have this other guy that was working for us, and we kind of want to take him on, but I'm like, you know, you can work half the year, so you can make what you're making now, have a truck, and work half the year, and then have the other 6 months of the year, whatever you want to do. You can do another job, side gig, or whatever.
yeah.
So I'm at that point where I'm tossing that around. But again, I'm still kind of like, I don't want to take the step because I'm like, fuck, this dude's got a family, and if I don't bring in the fucking money, I could lose my ass real quick, right? So you start taking on, like Dad said, he's like, because he had a business. He says the minute you start taking on people, you need to do 3 times the amount you're doing before you took on people. And I'm like, and I'm seeing the numbers. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. You know,
Especially if you want to make any type of net gains at the end of that too, while it's happening.
yeah. I mean, I don't take much to live though. You know, I mean, yeah, I travel a little bit, but I take a backpack. I don't fucking stay in high-end hotels, and like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I spend money, but it doesn't take a shit ton for me to operate.
Yeah, you got rent. You know.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
your
yeah.
car and shit's paid off.
And a
so-
big part of that for you, and something that Phil has also talked about too, is he's like, I want to escape the matrix.
Well, I
And-
can show you a fucking formula.
And at least it's for
I
you
gotta stay here, dog.
giving you flexibility to
Yeah,
train.
do it here then.
It's giving you flexibility to train though, you know, and that's what you're originally looking for. I know Phil's looking for not necessarily this opportunity, but he's
But herein
said the
lies
same
problem.
thing.
You just-
All of us just want to train.
But you just
Yeah, true. True.
We both talked about that. So,
yeah, that's the problem though. So now I'm getting bigger, and it's taking away from my jiu-jitsu time, and I'm getting pissed. So that's another thing that's getting in my head because like
Do
I
you
know I
want to
have
push that 5-10 mil because you got to do that work compared to where you take this less and you can do more?
I can
what
do it
you
like I'm
want.
doing right now, and I can you know train whenever the fuck I want because like I'm 31, I'm be 31, so I'm like if I want to be the best I possibly can be. Like I've got another 5-6 years.
Yeah.
maybe
There is a
longer.
window.
There's a window.
Yeah.
There is a window.
But I know that's achievable. And that's whether if you want to put in the effort and the work to be able to get there.
well, it's hard that we can't live multiple timelines. I have this FOMO all the time of like, am I going to go down the business route or like, you want if you were going full time with jiu-jitsu, you know, obviously you could do even more big things than that, you know, or if you were doing, but you only get one sort of, you have to pick one timeline, and you could do, people can be high level at both.
Yes.
I mean, there are
a
people,
lot are.
there's that guy that won
Like you said, it's just work.
ADCC.
It's just work.
Yeah, there's that guy that won ADCC trials at heavyweight. I think he was a lawyer. And so he's obviously probably working quite a bit. But you still, even if it's 2 things, you got to narrow down because then maybe your family time is sacrificing if you're top level at 2 things or you're whatever. Maybe there's 3 or 4 things, but
But that's life, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if our timeline was the apocalypse or hunter-gatherer, it's like, we were just talking about it earlier, right? It's like we still don't get to be lazy. Like you still got to get up,
think
go do things you don't. Like,
with
we gotta go
jiu-jitsu-
get this water. We
with
gotta go hunt
jiu-jitsu,
these
would you
fucking
say, I mean,
animals.
if you could get into the gym every day for an hour or 2,
Yeah.
you know, that's
I'm
pretty
only
much.
getting I'm only getting like maybe 12 to 15 hours a weekend.
Mhm.
That's not very much.
Doing like 12-ish hours a week, I think. 12
Yeah.
to 15.
Yeah.
I'm in there a lot.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say I'm something like that, but it's not always.
Some weeks I get 20. Some weeks I get a little more than that. But if I'm doing like every class, like 2 classes a day, and then you can get 3 classes in at that place out there in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Morning, lunch, and then afternoon.
How big's the gym?
I mean, there's like 150 students probably.
Okay. Like active students?
There's probably a good base of like
How size is the building?
30, 40 dudes that train. That you get looks with.
Is it mainly like MMA?
So yeah, there's some MMA fighters like the owner. He fights in one.
Dope. Okay.
He's like I think he's a 135 pounder or something like that. He's Brazilian.
dope. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So we do MMA class or wrestling class. So, but wrestling class is only for a certain amount of people. They invited me just because I could wrestle, I guess. They're like,
From Iowa, you got it, bro. He's got the sauce, man. It's just built in there.
well, the funniest thing, so like the other guys are rolling me like, I heard you were a D1 wrestler. I'm like, What?
The tail got elevated as you went.
Telephone.
Yeah, they're like, we heard there's a D1 wrestler. I'm like, no. Like, have you never wrestled a D1 wrestler? Like, no.
Yeah, god damn, yeah. That's fucking
I guess
gold.
Joe's a D1 wrestler. What's his name?
Scanlon?
Yeah.
He was,
He was
in
Iowa
state room,
State.
bro.
Yeah.
That boy.
I didn't mind wrestling with him. I didn't feel. I thought for sure when I was first going with him because I was first got to the gym with you guys, and then my first competition, I'm like, well, all right, back competing
Fucking
again.
fireman's carried.
The first fucking guy I have to go against Joe, and I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry, he was a heavyweight at Iowa State. I'm like, oh okay.
I don't think I ever said don't worry, but
I love your competition style. Like, you've inspired me so much. Just like Phil kind of has too, because Phil really goes all out. But like, you seem like you're having fun and just absolutely like, you have a huge gas tank too, by the way. So that helps a lot. But you're just
which is a sneaky gas tank.
But
you think I'm dead.
You'll also do things like you'll just wrestle a heavyweight D1 wrestler and try and win the match.
Yeah,
or,
I'd be like,
you know,
fuck it, I'll wrestle
like,
him.
fuck.
He threw me. Into
I
the
love
TV.
your attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he threw me to the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's that dude from Henzo's that I fell off the stage.
Oh, yeah.
That could have been bad if I fell on my fucking head, dude. That
Jake.
was
It
fucked
seemed
up.
like
Jake?
Jake. I think it seemed
Yeah,
like he was
yeah.
maybe pushing you. I don't know. That might be.
Well, I didn't know he was a good wrestler. I
check
didn't
the
realize how
footage.
shit he was at jiu-jitsu.
best part
I know you
about
frustrated him.
Yeah.
The best part about that was, and that's what your wrestling does, is frustrates people because you're so good at your head and your hand position. But like, the best part about it from my vantage point is like, we're sitting in a corner, right? So it's like, we're farthest away. I'm just like watching, and like, they're getting close. And I'm like, oh man, like they're getting close. And then Jordan just tumbles over. I'm like, oh shit. And I like start to like run over there. And like I see him go head down first and legs ass up in the air. And then next thing I see him just pop up, just smiling. He's just
Yeah, I landed on my feet.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you
somersaulted
good?
Yeah, because I fell and I just put my hand like this and there was nothing there. But I somersault landed on my feet. I'm like, dude, I could have landed on my head. It would have been bad.
Oh man,
That could have been
that's
terrible.
4 or 5 foot drop, but that ain't
yeah,
good.
That could have ended subspectrum forever. If someone died or paralyzed. Like,
Jordan would have had to check his insurance. I don't know.
yeah.
Bro, you signed the waiver, dog.
Yeah, that's
Sign
true.
waivers.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Paralyzed.
We gotta keep Jordan in business. So, yeah, bro.
Yeah, but
Just drag him out of here, take him to the edge of the
I
street. It
I
didn't
was
happen.
competing elsewhere that
happened
weekend,
outside.
but I was proud when I heard of that because that Jake Pundiz.
Yeah,
Jake?
he's a white belt.
What's it like? Huh?
He's a white belt, isn't he?
I don't think so.
He's
No.
probably a blue belt,
Yeah,
right?
he's a
I thought
stud.
he was a white belt.
He's also
I
a
thought you guys said
national.
he was a white
He's
belt.
a national champion powerlifter,
Yeah, I
but
was like,
he's
he's a-
gotten more into coaching that
he's a
and stuff
beast.
too. I want to have him on here too.
He coaches Tess, Sully and Maury's.
Yes.
Yeah, Maury's mom.
Yep,
Yeah, Tess would be.
he's a good powerlifting coach, or not? Sorry, I've said powerlifting multiple times. Olympic weightlifting. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I always say that.
I'm not trying to be the best at exercising, bro.
Did you say that after the match to him?
Oh no.
See, those dudes are strong, but they're like,
He's good. He's
It's
good though.
different strength
No,
when
he's
you roll with
technical
dudes
though
like that.
too. He's pretty
Well, at the
technical
end of
too.
the day, it's strength and stuff gets you places, but it's about technique.
Yeah, he's in the right
Technique
spot.
and applying technique.
but like
you have to be
you
smart.
get so much muscle in certain areas, it kind of enables you. Like I feel like when I go with some of those dudes that like their intention for lifting is to grow the muscle, I feel like it slows them down in the long run.
It can. I did when I was just training like powerlifting and thinking I wanted to get more and more into that, and I was first putting on muscle like
I
a
think
few
there's a
years
point
ago.
of diminishing return.
Like
Or
you can
like-
fuck up your cardio, but it depends on if you just had one goal only in your whole program and you ignored something for a long time, then you're gonna have a gap.
So you
there.
didn't do cardio. Yeah, a lot of those guys don't do a lot.
I
of
went
it.
and competed at subspectrum, and I had no, like, lactic acid just went to every part of my
Okay.
body, and I was
Oh,
like,
you were that fucking.
because
cardio
I'd gotten
shape.
big.
Well,
Well,
like I
I'd
s-
gotten big without building the engine back. I was just
There's-
got into powerlifting,
There's a point of diminishing
and then I had to
returns where
start doing
you
real
have
cardio.
so much tissue that requires so much oxygen that you get gassed.
But
quick.
but if you have that tissue, you have to make sure you train it to actually have. There's down to the mitochondrial level,
Well, that's what
adaptations.
Taylor, I'm like, we have the same size heart, bro.
No way.
Guarantee you.
No way. His heart's bigger.
You
bro.
think it's bigger?
Dude, fuck yeah, dude. Just
How
his
much bigger do you think it
frame.
is?
I don't know.
Talking about Taylor, the Iowa Hulk.
Yeah,
I
bro.
will-
Yeah. Shout out Taylor Fenstra.
Yeah,
Iowa Hulk.
we get him
Shout
on
out
here
Taylor.
too.
It's Feenstra. though.
We'll get him on here
Oh,
too.
bro.
Is it Feenstra?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Shout out Taylor.
We gotta cut this out.
No, hell no.
He's-
Shout out Taylor, bro.
I'm pretty sure Feenstra the politician.
Yeah, his dad's
yeah.
his dad's
Yeah.
a congressman.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
not the state. He's fucking.
Shout out
federal.
Taylor. I won't expose you and your dad. Shout out Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor can't come on this podcast because we're gonna say, you know, the CIA killed JFK and shit like that.
All Republicans are racist.
Oh no, bro. That's so funny.
I was over at my buddy's house, and he's dating some girl, and he said I was a Republican, and then I invited a girl over, and he said I was dating a black girl. He's like, I thought Republicans are racist. I'm like, what?
No, man. It's all pink on the inside.
That'd be so funny if my neighbor hears this. Oh, dude, she'd be pissed.
Yeah, all right. They'll edit it where it needs to be edited.
Yeah, we got a lot of good content, audio only. So I don't know if we should be dropping some of that.
I don't care. I don't care. You guys care.
We heard a lot about Jordan's escapades, put it that way, already today.
On the hour before.
Yeah.
But no, back to the size thing, because I feel like I'm at a crossroads with myself where it's like my body frame has the ability to go to 205 or to stay at 185, and I've been wanting to go to 205, but I just love how, like, my normal walk around weight is like 190. Like when I'm eating, you know, kind of like whatever I want in a sense, not going crazy, but just continuing with my strength and conditioning, I walk around at like 190, 195. But I know I have the frame to get 205. And a lot of these cats around here.
What are you talking about? It used to be 230.
I know, but like of nice 205. And a lot of these cats around here, I don't know, they don't like to come down to 185. And I need everybody to come down to 185, man.
Listen, there's a lot of 185s.
I'm a 185 pounder if I wanted to be.
Come get it, bro.
I feel better at 205.
Yes.
My knees been starting to slowly feel better. I was plateaued for a second, I felt like, where it's like 80%, and just wasn't getting any better, but felt pretty good the other night and stuff. I haven't heard much about anything with the 85-pound belt from Subspectrum or anything, but that's mine.
That's
me, mine to take.
Yeah.
That's mine to take.
Go ahead and make that claim right now.
Like I said, man, I just got to change my
body. That's a huge weight class.
What are you talking about? You don't need to weigh the weight.
Dude, just so like when
everybody
you get to
fat.
But listen, when you get to those higher levels, like, and you know, like when I'm getting a little bit bulky and I'm walking around a big 195, I cut 10 pounds and I'm a huge 85er. It's like, dude, those 205 dudes are just a different fucking structure of human. Like the big dudes that cut down, even the homies that cut down to 194 for 80cc, it's like those are fucking crazy different structures of humans. I ain't afraid of nobody. I don't give a fuck about weight at the end of the day. But if I'm going to set myself up for the best success that I can, right? Especially when it's the absolute things. When I go 85, I cannot do the absolutes. I'm just fucking, I ain't got the beef on me to start going.
So he said this, and actually I talked to Jordan about this too. I told him when I was, and I guess it depends maybe on how you frame or how you feel too, but when I was 170, which is before I started lifting weights several years ago, and once I started lifting, putting on mass, I actually put on 30 pounds, and then I lost 15 of that. Mm-hmm. So I went to 200.
Were you juicing?
No, dude. A lot of that was just dirty.
I don't believe anybody now.
That was dirty.
Everybody tells me they're not juicing.
Listen, dude, lifetime natty, you know, I would not.
I feel like if you
I wouldn't fuck with my hormones like that.
Juicing.
Yeah, no, I've been accused of it, but
no,
I've not, which is flattering, but the only thing that makes me
the yams at the source.
The only thing
yams from the source.
The only thing that ever makes me want to juice is people saying whenever I hear like somebody said something, because it almost makes me just want to be like, if I was on juice, I'd be fucking huge. Give me some credit. With my discipline, I would be. You wouldn't ask the question.
You do have good discipline. You don't need shitty anyway.
If I was juicing, you wouldn't ask. You would just. We would just nod at each other.
So
it'd be like you and that neighbor.
You and Taylor.
I roll with guys without juicing, and I'll tell them, like, you see this? I was like, imagine if I was juicing. And they're juicing. I'm like, I'm stronger than you while you're juicing. Just imagine if I was doing what you're doing.
So I feel like a lot of people that do those things, so it's like, it's the people that have the extreme discipline that then do it, that you're like, holy shit.
Yes, you're right.
That is a fucking freak beast.
Yes.
But when it's like a homie that's just like, oh yeah, I'll juice to like, you know, get a little bigger. It's like, okay, dude, like, you know, you can take whatever medicine you want, but if you don't fucking maximize it, it ain't gonna fucking do nothing for you.
Yeah,
you're right.
Like, all it does is help you with that recovery to do more. You still gotta do more.
They can cram in more time.
I'm
understanding that now.
You can also change your intensity, like, because, like, if my body now, like I said, I'll be 37 next month. If my body starts feeling too beat up, I'll just, you know, if instead of doing less time doing jiu-jitsu, spend more time drilling like we did the other day, like on that Tuesday. Probably my jiu-jitsu got better there than just if we just tried to throw down the whole time, you know.
That's proven, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta drill it, you gotta positionally spar it, you gotta live roll it, you gotta start over.
But when you live roll, are you okay with a lower belt tapping you?
Yeah.
Like, am I experimenting around or am I?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if I'm working on a game, yeah, you got to.
Even these days, I mean, fuck,
Chris said
everybody's
he's like,
so
I don't
dangerous.
Have that in me. I asked Chris that, he's like, I don't have that in me.
I don't know about that. Chris Oletta, I'll stop because that's who I've gotten everything from. Like, you know, I shout out Jason Anthony. Not a lot of people know who that is, but I had a savant of a wrestling coach when I was in high school.
At Pleasantville?
Yeah. So, guy should have been
Jason
a D1
Anthony.
level strength and conditioning
He's told me
and
about
wrestling
this.
coach.
Jason Anthony.
Should have, dude, there's no doubt.
Was he the strength and conditioning coach for the 07 football team? For you guys?
Possibly, maybe.
Because they had some yoke dudes.
Dude,
in
listen.
Pleasantville. But
Dude,
I know
I'm
they're
not-
taking trend.
I ain't saying no bullshit, bro. I ain't saying no bullshit. Dude was a savant at coaching. Great man too. Taught me a lot of great things. But I kind of already understood that, like, you drill, you positionally spar, you live. Like, I got that from him from wrestling, right? So, like, I took that in, and Chris just does the same thing because it works, right? And you're crazy. Like, I've seen Chris get put in a position that is advantageous and bad for him because he's working on something and gets tapped. Like, that's just what it is, right? Like,
No.
I give a fuck.
I get what you're saying, the positional. I'm talking about, like, I asked Chris, as I said, like, when you're rolling and you're not trying to work on anything, do you let lower belts tap you? And he's like, I don't have that in me.
Well, yeah.
So there's like the time.
If
where,
you're just
like,
rolling, then yeah, it's like, okay, this person's not going to sub me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that happen.
But that was also a while ago. Like before, I feel like he's let me tap him a few times now.
I hope he hears this and then fucking just kills you.
I'm gonna break his hip.
You gotta train at
You
different.
guys try to kill him all the time. It's fucked up. Every time I see you guys roll with Chris, you're like, I'm gonna smash this motherfucker. I'm like, dude, you're gonna break
Dude,
him.
fuck that man, bro. It's because he's killed me more times than I can ever fucking count.
I don't go hammer on him, dude. Like I try to do technique.
There's spots like if he's
you guys,
ready
and then you two are trying to fucking kill each other every time.
That's true. Well, not every time, but I mean, dude, it's just
We
what
only
it is,
roll
bro.
we only probably roll that hard like once a week though.
Yeah, I was like, that's just what it is.
I would be so sore if I rolled with Phil like that multiple times a week.
That's
That would
what it
fuck
is.
me up.
That's what it is. You need that. Like if you're not fucking going out there and pulling that trigger and it's just like, you know, but the reason we could do that is because I trust Jared. I trust Chris. You know, like if I get put in a spot and I'm not realizing it, unaware, or you know they just get me, they'll let it go. I'm like, hey, I got you. And I'll be like, yeah. And it's just like that allows you to fucking put the fucking, you know, the tire to the road, bud, and just get after it and see what's going on.
I used to worry about like how hard I was rolling in my training intensity, but like now, it's all kind of merged. Like if you're going really pretty hard, it usually just means you're just adding more intensity kind of between, you know, each little part, or some more, you know, more assertiveness in what you're picking, or you're choosing more from your A game than your B game. But like the intensity is not that much different. Like you should be relaxed. Like it's like you're, you know, like we said, it's all kind of wrestling too. Like I'm just trying to pass the guard, or I'm just kind of sitting there the same, like whether it's competition or.
Do you ever notice how you use a
You
keto
know.
in wrestling when you're doing stand up?
Like in what way? Like
You have people like trying to get inside position. You'll be like it's a keto. It's a keto. I use a
isn't
keto when I
that's
wrestle.
like, what is that called?
That's just pummeling.
Yeah, but it's
the
very
Aikido,
similar to
I-
a keto. You're deflecting. You're deflecting hands, like.
And it's not. I don't think it's a keto. It's like it's the thing that Tony Ferguson does with those wood fucking. Is it? I don't think it's Tai Chi, but I don't know what it is.
It's definitely.
I
I
know
feel,
what you're
I feel
trying
like it's
to
a
say.
keto where you're deflecting. You're
I
like
know
they
what
come in
you're
your
trying to
hands and
say.
you're deflecting them.
I know what you're trying to say.
Well, you ever seen it? You're like, well, when I do wrestling, I'm always like deflecting, like and going,
Yeah,
like.
I know what you're trying to say. Misdirections. I know
But
what
it's
you're
different than
trying
when
to
I did when I was in wrestling, because wrestling was like you're hammering them out. Like when
Yeah.
you were wrestling, you were intent to like something's gonna happen here. Like jiu-jitsu is a little more
say.
like.
In folk style
well,
wrestling, if you're not moving forward, you're not winning.
You weren't doing. You were sitting here like
And
being
in
heavy on the
jiu-jitsu, it's
head.
much more about a circle.
It's a weird type of wrestling with jiu-jitsu. I feel
It's much
like.
more about a circle, an angle, and then a forward movement. If you just go forward, you're fucked. But in wrestling, your head's in front of your hips, you're loaded, you're ready to fire. All you have to do is turn one or two angles. It's just like when there's additive limb and structures and different strangles, the angles change immensely. So it's a lot more straight line in wrestling because you're behind your hips. Boom, you know what I'm saying?
I'll stand straight up when I wrestle in jiu-jitsu. Like
because it's less forward.
Yeah.
Like, people are less forward at you. You have time to react and stuff. But you'll get a wrestler then that'll dump you. Then maybe you get to grab a choke or get a guard on the
You just
way.
gotta be able to grab that back ankle, and you let him have the shot deep. You just about I'll let people have deep shots as long as I grab that ankle from behind.
You just come over top.
As long as I know if I get that ankle, you're not gonna finish the shot.
Same side or far side?
Either or. I mean, it doesn't matter either or. But if you grab that ankle, that shot's not getting done.
We looked at
You can't sit through if you grab far side.
Oh, I shouldn't say it can't. Like, obviously there's a million ways probably to get out of that. I'm just saying, like, 9 times out of 10 if I can get the ankle.
there's this guy that runs this YouTube channel, Less Impressed, More Involved. I think I've sent you some of his videos before.
His breakdown stuff?
Yeah, he breaks down jiu-jitsu videos, and he looked at shots in one weight class at AC's trials. I shared it with you, and it was of the person that initiated the shot, 55% of the time that was the person that got the takedown if a takedown happened. But 45% of the time the other person scored a takedown. Like, if a takedown was scored, who started the shot, them or their opponent? And so that's like...
So 45% of the time it backfired.
Yeah.
45% of the time they actually got scored on off their shot.
Yeah.
And so it was almost 50-50.
Yeah, it's...
That's why shooting is such a mindfuck for people, I feel like, in jiu-jitsu.
But I'm
A
curious
lot
what
of
the
it's
data
out of
is.
like a scarcity mentality. Clock's running, no points have been scored, no
Yeah.
subs have done. Somebody's like, I gotta do something.
What's the data, though, on that 45% that initiate... Didn't initiate the shot, right? Like, how many of them got fucking choked out? Because, like, when you fuck up a shot, like, your back's getting taken a lot of times. Or you're inside control.
I see what you're saying. Like, what was the end result? Was it just a score, or was it?
Because I feel like when you take a shot and you fail, it puts yourself in a really vulnerable spot at that point.
So keep in mind, it probably could be close to 50-50. I'd like to see it done on, like, college wrestling and some other things too. But if they stuff you to turtle, which is really common for takedown stuff, in ADCC, you don't score the turtle.
I get that.
But you actually have to then get them exposed to the mat and flattened out in some way. So.
You're still exposing your back, though. Like, you would prefer not to be in
That's
turtle,
why
right?
the number one submission at trials was RNC, which is something that you're really good at getting people's back. We were talking about submission percentages earlier, and that's probably one of your highest percentage.
Yeah.
It's almost probably as high as my leg lock percentage.
In competition, what we thought our percentage was.
Mine's
was
really good.
And you were saying mix between RNC and leg
lock.
lock.
The last 10, it's 50 RNC, probably 50 leg lock.
I've been doing more arm bars, which was like the third or even second submission.
This year it was second in ADCC.
Yeah,
It was
so
RNC, arm bar.
And I've always arm bar's been one of my favorite submissions. So it's cool to see that at the highest levels, just somewhere being able to separate your opponent's arm from their body.
Upper body attacks, it's shown that there's and you know it just probably anecdotally from just rolling even, the homies at Henzo's or anywhere else that has high level people, right? Those leg locks are fucking hard to get. They're just fucking
They're
hard
a lot
to get.
easier to get into.
Yeah, you can get
than they
into
are
them,
to
right?
finish.
But that's a whole nother thing, right? Like they are fucking hard.
Is it considered
to get.
turtle if I fail on a on a and we are,
and I stuff you and
and
you
you're
like
saying,
front head and arm.
Yeah, is that a considered turtle position right there?
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah.
It's just no scoring points.
So
ADCC.
And you can attack from there too, from turtle.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Because they have the hand. I always
Guillotine
attack.
doors.
No, I'm saying the guy in turtle can attack.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that you have those arms draped over. You can attack that arm with a
straight
Kimura or
up.
You're getting past the elbow.
Not that
right?
one I did the other day, but I did find that one out. But yeah, you can at least.
So it's important when you're attacking the turtle to not try and get your elbows too far in there. If you're trying to run a Darce, that's when they always get your elbow too deep. And we've talked about sweeping out of there, and I hit sweeps out of there all the time because a good person shouldn't be just throwing elbows in, because the elbows are where you start to control them.
That's where you got to lock. From
Yeah.
the bottom, I can't do anything until I lock above the elbow.
Yeah. Otherwise, your shoulder's compromised.
Yeah.
You're getting moved. You're getting moved around.
That's one thing I've been questioning. I was like, is there attacks from spots that there normally isn't attacks?
I mean, people are just doing more and more attacks from every single place you can imagine. It all originates from
Shoot the shots.
Like in turtle, for example, people are doing crucifix out of there now.
Yeah, right.
People
They're doing crucifix on the person in turtle.
Yeah, like
person on
somebody
the
tries
bottom.
to, maybe you're in a front head, you try to run around, they stop, sign you, they bring their hand out. You
Start dilemmaing
start to grab their
control,
arms with your legs.
back takes, crucifixes with chokes and other things. And all of a sudden their arms are so busy that you're able to scoop these up. You know, you're keeping them too busy. And that's some of the things in the higher levels is people just keeping your brain too busy with too many trilemmas. You know, I call it.
Oh, yeah, you need 3.
You just put the 3 on.
You need
It's
3.
We talked about that rule of 3, like with takedowns too. It always seems like
You need those
the
3 sequences.
really wrestler type. It's not this. It's that third.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's how I view jiu-jitsu a lot of the ways too. It's just like it's just a lot of percentages, right? Like my
Yeah.
body needs to put me in this place to perform that action or reaction to whatever it is, but I just think about it as in percentages. You get 3 things from everywhere, and then you just cycle them.
Except
That's why it's like you were saying earlier in the car. It's like I feel like you know more jiu-jitsu. I don't, dude. No one. Like, you've been in the game so goddamn long. You've forgotten more.
I feel like I
jiu-jitsu
don't
than
know
than
jiu-jitsu
I know.
anymore.
I have just doubled and tripled down on the shit that
Yeah.
I think I'm good at. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Same with Chris, dude. That dude.
see, I'm still a blue belt. I'm still discovering. I heard someone talk about blue belt the other day, and they're like, blue belt's like you're discovering like what you're good at.
I feel like
I
there's
haven't
this
discovered
there's
that
this space
100%.
that a lot of blue belts have where they and it comes with success because like I see them and I'm like, dude, you got the sauce, you could be good, you could do these things, and then they start to compare themselves to the higher levels and then they start to forget the basics. It's like I was so blessed that when I first started, Chris didn't teach me how to touch a leg until I was a couple stripes into my blue belt.
Yeah.
Right. And like I had all my positional stuff down. I had all my like all the escapes I liked down. It took me a while to really understand pins eventually, but it's just I had all these basic fundamentals down before I started grabbing any type of leg, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me for sure.
I started with rubber.
Can't
guard.
skip the
You
steps.
started with rubber guard.
You can't skip the steps.
He started like me. He's a degenerate like me. I just got a 10th Planet.
I got so
or the
lucky.
Mastering the System book.
Morningstar Jiu-Jitsu Denver. He got his blue belt
Shout
from
out.
he got his blue belt from
Shout
Eddie
out.
Bravo.
Shout out.
But he wanted to start with fundamentals. I was like, no, I don't want rubber guard. So I'd start doing rubber guard. He's like, all right, I'm gonna show you then.
Yeah,
So, like,
dude,
I knew
got
rubber guard. I
blessed.
knew rubber guard before I knew triangles and I knew arm bars obviously, but
We all live a blessed life, guys, but I think about it my life a lot when it comes to these weird different types of things when like jiu-jitsu and all this stuff is the shit that's real to me. Like, I have my career and all these other things that create my money, but when it comes to the things that I love, I've been so blessed. I had such an amazing wrestling and strength coach. Got lucky, went and played football for a second in some college, met some great people, started to see high level athletics where it was like, like this is what motherfuckers can do. Like, it's not just this little small town Iowa thing. Like, oh damn, like people can actually do crazy things. And then just by sheer luck that Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu happened to be the closest fucking jiu-jitsu academy to me, where it was like me and my best friend Mike, shout out Mike Phipps, we were just like, hey, like let's do jiu-jitsu. We got to do something, man. We're gonna do jiu-jitsu or CrossFit. That's really what it came down to. We just Googled it and Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu came up. And then I was so blessed that I'm fucking built just like Chris's goofy ass. That it's just like, whatever that guy does, man, I'm just going to do. And it just works. So, and it's almost like I've had a case study for fucking 2+ decades of what that style of body could do. And then it's just like, no, don't do that. Throw that shit out. Do all this shit. Just feel so blessed to be there.
Chris isn't crazy. I told people, I was like, yeah, the guy I was learning from in Iowa got his belt from Helio.
Yeah,
His
blue
blue
belt.
belt.
Yeah,
And they're
his
like,
blue belt.
What? I was like, uh-huh.
He fucking broke Helio Gracie's rib
Yeah.
doing a mount,
That's
some
right.
some type of mount
They
thing.
probably want to fucking
And then feared for his life. He didn't want all the
Oh my
Gracies
God.
to kill him.
Dude, so still, Chris is the best gym. I've trained in Denver, Texas, now South Carolina, and Iowa. And no like disrespect to those gyms, like they're all good, but no one's had the knowledge that Chris has.
And the ability to relay it.
Well, he's also, like you said, it's a fucking club, so like he's there.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't give a shit if you come or not. So like,
He
so
just
they-
does it because he loves it. That's
Yeah.
what makes it great.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's two sides of the same coin, right? Like he will never
That's the way
ever
it's supposed to be, though, dude.
No, but
Mr. Miyagi.
but
you think Mr.
time out,
Miyagi
but-
charged to fucking go to
yeah,
teach
but
it?
time out. So like,
Yeah.
well, hold on though, because these academies are businesses. They're people's livelihoods, right? So it's like those stripes. those belts, that's retention of your base. And so, yes, people need to earn it. And I'm not saying that somebody's livelihood is a gym and that they just give shit out. I'm not saying that at all, right? Like, everybody has their standards and stuff, but I just feel like when Chris loves it, that's why he does it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care if it makes money.
No, he's selfish.
He's
using us to learn.
He's fine in the bank and stuff. So it's just, when you go there, it's just because you're getting the purest form of jiu-jitsu. Not a business ran mentality, not any of these types of things, because he loves the fucking art at the end of the day.
There's no that fucking bullshit. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but like
no, it's not.
The old way where you're like, hey, you gotta greet the professor and all that.
Oh yeah,
like,
no.
I've been to gyms where they're like that. I'm like, dude.
That to me is also such a big thing, because it just breeds the ability for you to get comfortable, and then once you're comfortable, you can learn.
Yes.
Like, you need to be comfortable to be able to learn. But
if I can't talk shit at the gym, I don't want to.
No, and that's how I'm ran. But like, I totally have. I've been like, my old wrestling coach. It was military, bro. Like, y'all looked the same. Y'all fucking acted the same. Y'all did the same thing. And I needed that in those spaces at times. Coach? Yeah, I needed that sometimes in those spaces. And some people like that structure.
I've yet to have a practice.
You haven't.
To wrestling.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you've ever met Justin, a black belt that used to train at our academy, but he came from a very structured place like that. And he was a little weirded out at the beginning. He was like, what the hell is going on? But he loved that. He's military background and stuff too, but like, some people love those types of things. It breeds a culture, like I was talking about earlier. It breeds a culture that keeps people, which is, some people like it, some people don't. I just got lucky that I found Chris, and what he brings is what I think I need.
Yeah, again, it all comes down to it not being a business.
Dude, that's what I've always thought, but every day I think about killing Chris and taking hold of Des Moines Jiu-Jitsu and trying to make money from it. But it wouldn't be the same thing.
It wouldn't
anymore. It wouldn't be. So
it'd be hard to. I'm not saying it wouldn't.
I'll slowly try to kill him.
It's not that it wouldn't. It would just be. It's a lot.
It'd be different.
It's a lot to take the reins and do what he did. Mm-hmm.
Bro, think about the courage it took. Homie was just like a blue or purple belt with no academies anywhere. He was just like, all right, I want people to train with, so I got to start this academy.
I'm going to open a gym in South Carolina.
As a blue belt.
Yeah. Some people still pull that off to this day in limited situations.
Well, it's because if you think about it, like, we know the community, so we kind of see how it's growing, so we think it's huge. It's bigger than it's ever been, right? But like, how many of the United States population does jiu-jitsu on a regular basis?
Not enough.
That would pay money to go to a gym.
Mark Zuckerberg's doing it.
1% if that.
1% if that, bro.
Because even in wrestling, right? Think about wrestling. When wrestling's big in Iowa, what percentage of the school wrestled?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Very small.
20, 30 kids, 40 kids of a fucking 600.
Yeah, 500 kids. There was 20 kids that wrestled probably.
Yeah, maybe.
I think more people will get into jiu-jitsu than ever get into wrestling.
What?
I think they'll merge.
Really?
I think they're merging.
So
it's becoming, there's like a grappling thing going on.
There is a road to it.
Yeah.
The road only used to be Olympics from wrestling, right?
ACC,
and then it started to be MMA a little bit, but I have made this decree to a lot of people. You probably heard me say this, but here soon, Midwest Jiu-Jitsu, guys that have done wrestling their whole lives, smart, gritty, fucking tough sons of bitches, are going to stop seeking the Olympics and those different types of things and start diving into jiu-jitsu.
That's when it's going to be good.
And we're going to create savages. I already see it with the kids program. These little kids that can hit outside singles like it's fucking no one's business.
Do you know Mikey
and then you
England?
just teach them these little itty bitty things and you're like, oh my God.
Do you know Mikey England? Mike England from Centerville? He's like a brown belt or something, I think, maybe?
Yes, I think I've competed against that cat.
Yeah, so I grew up wrestling.
Does he fight now? Does he fight now?
Yeah. But he gave Austin Baker hell.
Shout out. Good shit.
Yeah, with wrestling.
I grew up wrestling like against that kid. I was going to go 171 because 171 I had to go to like 189 just to be able to get the hopes to go to state. But there's so many guys. There's so many, but I know guys that are like phenomenal wrestlers, like world-class wrestlers that don't wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
They said fuck the college. First of all, fuck college because they'll inflate you up to like 180 and you're wrestling like 150 or something like that, whatever the weight class is. And it's insane. Just like I told you, I have yet to have a jiu-jitsu practice anywhere that has been equivalent to a high school wrestling ring.
Oh yeah.
And something
No.
that
2-hour
fucking
practices, 90 degrees, and then
Bouncing
sprints
egg off the mat.
and then sprints after.
Yeah.
Like,
so we were all
already dehydrated,
Yeah,
not
yes.
knowing how to cut correct weight.
Yeah.
Fucking.
we were all former high school wrestlers, and so knowing that, and also knowing some of the other people that I've just competed and trained with here that did wrestle and now they're doing jiu-jitsu or this and that, we all know, we're acutely aware of something, like you said, like there could be a huge jiu-jitsu scene here in Iowa specifically
out,
because there's so many. I should not ever be able to beat some of the people that are there's so many tough fucking people. Hard-nosed fucking tough.
Dude,
it's just a
the wrestler
cornfield.
grind isn't dude,
Just
to
out here in the
reiterate
cornfield.
what you said, the wrestling grind is just, it's on another level.
And these are-
there's no fucking glory in it, dude, which makes it even much more savage, because then you're like,
The practices are hard as fuck, and these are always the people that in the military we would know, like basic training or
You're like,
whether
yeah,
it's
this sucks, guys, but-
special ops training or whatever it is. It's
Whoa.
like more likely you're going to have wrestlers
I will
do well in
smoke
that, like
90%
people
of
that were
special
wrestlers
ops in jiu-jitsu.
in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
yeah, in jiu-jitsu.
And wrestling, I will fuck them up.
Would you take
Probably.
a street fight where there's anything going, though? I don't know, man. Maybe.
I'm pretty good with a gun too.
They're
so-
not trying to optimize on hand to hand necessarily.
well.
The military,
How much stand-up stuff have you done?
Not much.
I beat both your asses at stand-up fight.
Why would I do just a stand-up fight with you? That makes no sense.
he hasn't trained stand up, but I
I have
actually
trained a
I'll
little
do an
bit. Not a
MMA
lot.
fight, too.
Not a lot.
I don't think Phil understands it for real. Like if I can actually hit him for I hit hard.
Did you hear
I
the
hit
first
hard, too.
statement? Did you hear the first statement?
Yeah.
If I can hit him.
got
See,
these
the thing
little
is, he
hands,
keeps
bro.
me at a distance. The times that we've
I was
sparred,
like, we
with
have
gloves
done
on.
this before.
But the point is if I get in one time on an overhand right, he's sleeping.
For sure.
He's sleeping
For sure.
because we're very different build. You're 6'2".
Like, just short of 6'2".
Yeah.
I like to say I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
Round up maybe a little bit.
I'm like 6'1".
You're how tall?
6'2".
Yeah, you're
6'2".
taller than me. I'm 6'1".
205, bud.
We've all been at different times about the same weight, which is so funny. Because we're all different.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah.
But now you're up to like
205, 210, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've
I've been
ballooned way higher than
215,
that.
I've been 220 like last.
Your body
I was
composition
fat, I
is
was
much
fat.
different than it was before.
But
when you
I have
left.
I have weight swings like crazy in a day. I'll swing 10 pounds someday.
That's because your diet probably isn't the best.
No, but I'm working, so like I consume a lot of water, and and
Just
I eat
fluids.
a shit ton too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories some days.
I'm a glutton too, dog.
Yeah, if I didn't work out or do jiu-jitsu, I'd be a fucking lard ass.
Bro, I just told you I wrestled heavyweight in high school, man.
That's
like,
why you were fat.
Like, you guys only know more or less like semi-refined Phil, but like, I used to be a fat deviant, bro. That's just
Yeah,
what
you
it
did what
was.
weight class in high school?
So I started initially wrestling my sophomore year. In my sophomore year, I was JV because we had a stud of a wrestling team. And Mike was our heavyweight. Our heavyweight wrestler.
I lettered all 4 years, just so you know.
Nice, bro. You're a stud, bro.
I know.
I started.
Where's my Letterman jacket? I
high
gotta
school?
find it.
Hey, listen to this. I played basketball my whole life. Leading up to that, my freshman year, I was on JV, but then
What, you guys didn't grow up wrestling at a young age?
no. I started
When'd you
wrestling
start
when I was a
wrestling?
sophomore in high school.
When'd you start wrestling?
Well, really got into it in 7th grade. I did a little bit of the youth wrestling in some years before
Fuck, dude, I was like 5 when I started.
Yeah,
I sucked until I was a senior.
I
I
was
don't care
just
about losing.
I was just naturally
I was
good at
almost
it.
the same,
I was
yeah.
naturally good at it. I was athletic and stuff, but like I said, I just had a savant of a wrestling coach. He made it great. But no, yeah. So my sophomore year, I weighed like 225, 230, and I wrestled because my coach was like, "Hey, I'll make you an all-state football player, dude." Like, football was my thing, so I didn't cut any weight. My sophomore year, just wrestled JV. And then my junior year, when a couple of guys at the higher weights graduated, is when I was like, okay, I wrestled heavyweight, and I was just faster than everybody. I made it to state by just doing outside singles and just not getting underneath people. And
What weight was that? 215?
285 my junior year. I made state at 285 my junior year, and then my senior year at 215.
You made state as heavyweight?
Yeah, my second year ever wrestling.
That's impressive.
I
not
had
sure if I
I had a motherfucker pin, bro.
So why
and they
can't
didn't
you
give
take
it to
me
me.
down?
I should have fucking placed.
I want to see some
So
old
why can't you
photos.
take me down?
Bro, you're a bitch, bro.
You guys went to state.
I made Yeah, I made it to state my senior year.
I missed it by
I got
1 point
8th
my
place,
senior year.
which is the last place that can get a medal.
Oh, you
Like
placed though. Bud.
podium like this.
That would have
big.
been like
I would've
that
placed at
weight. You were like
215
top 50 in the United States.
I was
most likely.
small for my weight too. Like that was 189 weight class.
I would have made state at 215 though, because the guy that was my 215 pounder used to beat the shit out of him in practice.
Yeah. Senior year was 215, and yeah, that was.
I thought
I did
215 was
very
easy.
well that year, but you ran into a buzzsaw halfway through. And fucking
Like
lost.
an actual buzzsaw or
No,
that's a
just a
figurative
beast, just
speech.
a
Yeah,
fucking
215 is an
beast.
interesting class. They're either fat,
Yeah.
like fat 189 pounders that
Yeah,
lose weight,
yeah.
or they're fucking heavyweights that lost the
Yeah,
weight
just beasts.
and they're just yoked.
Yeah.
Like an actual 215 pounder dude. Like I don't like. I see myself at 205. I'm like, yeah, but that was different.
That's what he was talking about earlier when you ask him why he doesn't want to do 205.
Different
Why
structure.
he's doing
But I didn't have.
185.
I'm not saying strength wise, just looks wise. Like
No, well, I'm just talking structure.
I feel like I have a harder time with linkier guys than I do with dudes that are fucking yoked. Like, you know, that Neanderthal kind of guy is my weakness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Short, squatty homies.
Yeah. Those are the dudes that I had problems with.
Yeah, I think my ultimate nightmare would be a heavyweight that knows leg locks really well, or defense for leg locks. Because then what are you gonna do? Like I've learned slowly when I was doing.
Just your nightmare is Gordon Ryan.
Well, obviously that's everybody's nightmare, but
Yeah.
you know, like I mean, if you have to win an absolute, like I kind of tried different strategies, but like
Yeah.
obviously you got to hold somebody's leg. Their strength is not co-located with their foot. You know, their strength is over there.
Is that your go-to legs with heavyweights? 'Cause I'm
I
like,
started
fuck that.
doing it because of it's some
I
reason.
just try to get on top.
Okay, and we've talked about this before, but some of the higher weight classes, sometimes they're not as technical. I don't know if it's just because they've always had that
Yeah.
extra strength there.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
yeah.
That's why Gabby Garcia got
Some of the
fucking
most
smoked.
technical heavyweights are people that actually go up, you know, from lower weight classes. You see that in UFC, you see that in different things. So,
Yeah.
how many times have you had a
Lachlan
205?
Giles took out fucking Muhammad Ali and he weighed like fucking 170 pounds. How long's big How
No,
big's
Lachlan's
Lachlan?
way smaller than that.
Is he?
I think.
But it was with a leg lock, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. He'll
I was trying to wrestle
this
with
K-guard
heavyweights
stuff.
when I got back into competing, but then when I started doing, but if you actually had really good leg lock defense and you're an absolute and you're a heavyweight, that would be like a nightmare scenario. You can't just do the fuck it go for a leg lock button, then you really
You do the pseudo guard, bud.
you're shit out of luck, you know.
Yeah. I still think that pseudo guard's the best for wrestling. Being on one
Yeah.
knee.
That heavy front weighted open seated guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been smacking some wrestle ups lately.
That's feel. Is just. It just you have the option and they don't have the option.
Some of you
Yes and no. Like me and Jared definitely been working on some things with there where he has been just like lowering his level so much more than me. So it's like
When he's
he's
standing?
matching my wrestling stance, or he's matching my seated guard stance with his wrestling stance and putting his head in the way. And
it's head, hands, hips, the old wrestling
yeah, it's
analogy.
the old wrestling additive.
So
he's just
I'm just
lowering
trying to
it.
match at least, even if the top of your head is here, you know, I'm just trying to get somewhere where my head's in front of you the whole time and I'm tracking your head.
And so that makes it to where my forward just blast in doesn't work now. Now I have to do like an actual like
pick?
traditional wrestling match where I have to find an angle.
Yeah,
You're talking
he's
about
still
when you're
looking
in
for
seated
angles
guard
now.
and
Yeah.
you're trying to be actively wrestling up.
Yeah. I now just
Do you
can't.
grab an ankle and
He's really good at grabbing the
grab an
ankle, for
and
sure,
push?
but
Can you get an ankle?
So if they're heavy front weighted with their like with the stance that I'm talking about that he would be in.
You're talking about when they're kind of like almost touching their elbow.
Yeah, like heavy weighted down, like real big. Like that leg's gonna be so heavy you're not gonna get it and you're not gonna find their hip. Like when they're up higher, I know what you're saying. You pull the light
What
leg.
about go
and you
for the
press
head
hip.
and do a snap down?
Yeah, no, so that's what I'm saying. That you have to create angles now. You have to get them to move or you move. You cannot just start. You cannot just go straight. You have to create these more angles.
Who's creating the angle? The guy standing up or the guy?
Either one. You have to create it with your movement or you move them to make that angle.
make him react. Yeah. Because now he's saying, if you're trying to wrestle from your butt, what we call it, doing these wrestle ups from the seated guard, and you're playing forwardly and more aggressively, you don't want to go to supine guard. It limits your options.
Yeah.
You can create this pressure at your opponent. You can score points in the form of a sweep by getting a takedown. It's easier to take down good wrestlers, big guys, like you said, from there. You know, but
If I had to go against a wrestler, I would pull guard and wrestle up.
yeah,
I
it's
was
going to be
gonna-
easier than just shooting a takedown on
Yeah.
them, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. At least that's how I'm seeing it currently. That could probably change.
But since he's acting more like a wrestler from the ground, basically, which you've done too. You kind of pop up to your knees, and we call it the quantum superposition guard. Like you haven't really pulled guard. Like you see wrestlers in NCAAs doing this
double
too.
knee down, like that homie from Arizona State.
Arizona State, where he's shooting off both knees.
He's a fucking beast.
His chin's almost touching the mat sometimes.
Dude, he's a fucking beast.
So there's this weird spot where you're creating pressure from the bottom, and
yeah.
I used to think guard was receiving, like you're waiting till someone does something.
My open guard
now
is
I'm like,
never.
fuck that.
you
Dude,
need at the higher levels. You need to be out there.
You can
being
never
the person
just
creating
accept
reactions.
someone. Just
Yeah.
never. Like,
No.
You get like
do you
if I
think
just
most people
accept
play
someone
guard that way?
At
Like,
that what?
Wasn't guard always like for a long time taught that way, where
Yes,
you weren't really
yes
being
and no,
aggressively?
because I meant open guard wasn't taught as much. So it's like with a closed guard, you can receive more in a sense because you're just adding their posture to you. And where when you're in an open guard, there's so much more ability to create angles. You just can't. Someone who's good at passing is going to get on all over you and just pass you. They're just going to get after it.
Yeah, nobody actually wants to get locked in a closed guard.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, right?
You feel like that's
if you can actually achieve a closed guard, that's great. And we were talking about how that's a precursor to getting to
That's going to come back around.
rubber
too,
guards
man.
or anything else.
You see it all the time. We had more or less alluded to it earlier with how the arm bars and the upper body attacks are coming back more. You're going to start to see more closed guards.
Is that because people aren't practicing it as much and they're lacking on the ability?
Yes, absolutely. Like the market will dictate whatever comes, and I fully think that's coming back. Fully.
That is true. Jiu-jitsu is like, that's another thing. It's the free market. There's
Yeah.
no regulation to an extent.
It's an art, so it's just like
That's why I don't like
that's what it is.
BJJ.
It's so free. It's
That's why I
interpretation.
hate
This is something we all love about jiu-jitsu too. Is
real talk. Me too.
jiu-jitsu is like truth. Like you could do, and I've talked to there's a like yoga practitioner friends of mine or other people in other realms of like, or maybe they do a sport that's like got judges or this and that. I'm like, guys, the objectivity of just tap or no tap, like that's the beauty of the truth. And like there's no bullshit in the martial art, or it gets filtered out.
It gets fucking filtered out.
You know, you just
Well,
look at what
sparring,
works.
like in boxing gyms, there's a lot of dudes that don't spar. So like, how are they gonna know how good they are or not?
Yeah.
Right.
They think they.
You got to get to a certain level to not be able to do that. But like, yeah, you can't, especially if you're on some cutting edges of things, or you're not just like a cookie cutter guy that looks at all these different things online and then tries to put it into their game, where you're truthfully trying to understand that it is an art and realizing what your body naturally does, what your body is naturally more responsive to different techniques, and then forming it from you. Like, like that has been also everything that has been great with Chris is like everything has been formed from me. Like,
But that's how we know. The funny thing is, we all know each other through that. Because I don't like when I go to gyms. There's so many dudes I don't know their name. I know them really well, like, but I know them through their jiu-jitsu. So I don't even know their name sometimes. I don't care. Like, I know you through how I look at you, and how I roll with you. You can tell so much by a man by rolling with them. Mm-hmm. It's the craziest shit. Especially you get white belts that are fucking spazzing.
You have like you get more and more people training, and then now you got like Mark Zuckerberg training, for example, and he said, "Where's this been all my life?" Yeah. And I think that more and more people are realizing that, and that's why it's going to keep growing.
I say this all the time. This is why I tell people is amazing about jiu-jitsu, where we can sit here and I could lift weights, I could go for a run, right, and I can shut my mind off. Like, I could close my eyes, curl, squat, I could do all that shit. I could close my eyes and run, right? I could do all these things. I can just use my physical body and check out. There is nothing, and this is why I think there's something primal about jiu-jitsu that makes you so in the moment, because if I am not checked in, if I check my mind out, I'm going to just lose. I'm going to have the worst day. I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm going to get fucked up. And all these different types of things. There's this merger of mind, body, and spirit that everything is on this single goal, this single problem to solve, that it activates us as a human in ways that we just don't get anymore. And the physical aspect of it is massive. Plenty of people get plenty of just physical tension. You go work out, you do all this shit. Plenty of people get plenty of mental all these things, you're crunching numbers, spreadsheets, all this bullshit. And then and a lot of people get it from faith too. They believe in their faith, they pray, they do all that stuff. But they do not link these things together in a certain way that jiu-jitsu does. And it's literally, that's why people treat it like a fucking cult, man, because of what it does to you just anecdotally, how you feel, what it is like, what it's like coming out of there when you fucking have learned this move and you hit it. Or you get beat up all day and you still, you know, and you still hug your brother after it. Like, it's like, there's this thing that activates us as a human that we just don't get. Something primal inside of us that we've been wrestling around our whole fucking existence as a human, as this humanoid ape thing. That's just what we do. We've been doing it forever. And now that we don't interlock all those things, we separate those all out, people just get fucked up, man.
Dude, we're missing a huge aspect to our humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what Mark Zuckerberg and other people are realizing as they start to find this sport is the fight or flight response, for example. We're getting stressed out all day, and it's just little bits of fight or flight response is what it is. And I've had people leave jiu-jitsu and go, even though I got my ass kicked all day, I feel so much better. I'm like, you actually fought something today. Your body was like, thank God the fight actually came. Because I've been stressing. Yeah,
the build-up.
So you guys should fight. And I think it's one of the two fundamental root chakra, base chakra things we need to take care of. And it's the two Fs. I talked to you guys about this. Fucking and fighting. Phil added feasting, which I really like and appreciate. But the two,
3 Fs.
I guess that's three like very primal urges. Like what? It's those different organs in your body and the lower parts of your body
and a lot
that
of
are
it, and
pointing.
The way we
Well,
probably
fucking's
came
a big
up,
one.
No, dude,
Do you know all school shooters is due to no pussy? I've read their
Dude,
manifestos,
I think that might be true.
Have you not read their manifestos?
I think that
they
might be
hate
true.
Me. They hate Chads, the guys that can get fucking girls.
He called himself a Chad.
I consider myself Chad now, I
So
guess.
funny.
But like
He's
they all
definitely
do
Chad.
because they couldn't get pussy, and they hated the guys for getting it, and they hated the girls for giving it to those guys. Like all of them were the same thing.
They're
So
all
like you're right,
sad
it is one of those
people.
things. Fucking is definitely a big one.
I found out that
It's
that
just
is
part of
hugely
being-
fundamental.
It's part of being a human.
There's not enough guys getting fucked out there. And in general, if we as people all fucked each other more, think about how that could create world peace.
My parents are swingers.
Or fighting. Or even jujitsu.
Bro,
We
don't
we
be
need to
saying
be
that.
picking. And there's some threshold line somewhere
Bro,
where
this
it's like
this is why you are the way you are.
My parents had group
Have
sex.
you ever felt emotional love?
Well, my dad never said he loved me.
guys will literally start a podcast instead of getting a therapist. Going to therapy.
There's a meme somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, but it's the truth, man, because we evolved with, you know, there's some things that have been shown that like they have been finding anatomical humans from 300,000 years ago, right? So for that length of time up until, you know, whatever you want, you know, we won't talk about this too much. I can go way deep into it, but like say, you know, civilization has happened in the last 2,000 to 3,000 years for what we understand it, okay? And so up until then, the 297,000 years that we know of humans have been having, we have only had those physical stressors to worry about.
Yeah.
Honestly, food, water, shelter, predators. And so when we bring into these different stressors that we cannot fight with our body, we can only fight with our mind and all this other shit, it something isn't jiving in humans with that.
Yeah.
Like we're really adept at taking physical stressors, doing something with it, and then feeling good after it. But all these other fucking weird stressors, man, our body isn't meant for
We
those
have
things.
different stress as a conscious entity that we are because we have these
because we can't
words
think
that
of
we
it.
can, we can just repeat. We can time travel in our head.
Yeah.
And all anxiety is time traveling to the future
Or past.
or the past, right? Like or depression or a lot of this is
Depression's
tied
a
up in
choice.
that. But we have this in our head.
You're
And-
getting sad.
And what's more powerful than antidepressants? They're finding out now too. Exercise. So that
Oh my
ties
God,
right
what
in.
a
Gut
Yeah.
health.
What a
Exercise and
fucking
gut
shocker.
health. Right, yeah.
We're
Exercise and gut
too
health.
soft. Yeah, like we're
I drink kombucha. Shout out to kombucha.
Every day. Shout out kombucha,
our life became
bro,
so
every
easy.
day.
We have these are all problems of affluence. Depression's a
Yeah,
problem of
champagne
affluence.
problems, right? Hell yeah.
School shooters is
No
a problem
male
of affluence. We're finding out.
No male camaraderie. You know, that's the
That's a
big thing
big
about
one,
jiu-jitsu
too.
people don't understand is
Yeah,
guys
people-
need groups
Yes.
of guys.
People hate gender identities and stuff, but like a lot of them feed who we are as humans, where it's just like men went to war, whether it was like, I just watched Chimp Empire, dude. If you haven't fucking watched that shit, super dope. Gives you a weird glimpse into what, you know, we used to be. But like, that's what you did. Like the men went out and
think
had
we
these
were apes?
crazy stressor events, bonded, and then came back to the women
Yeah.
that were bonding as well. Like, I'm not saying that's how it has to be, right? We're these different types of humans, but like, there's these things we need to feed as humans that we may not like the urge to fuck, like the urge to fight. or the urge to feast. Like all of those things, like people shun in a way, right? They shun in a way. And it's just like we need to accept these things and fucking build up the outlets for them. More gyms, fighting gyms, you know, jiu-jitsu gyms, more people doing those things, more people disciplining with food, more people getting sex and love the way that they want. Sex and love the way that they want, right?
Well, a lot of people don't know how to fuck. So, like...
Kids these days don't know how to talk. They're having less sex now because they don't even know how to talk to each other.
This dude over here slipped over. People don't even know how to fuck.
They don't. They don't.
He's advertising.
It's actually true.
He's praying the women, dude.
Think about it. They never went and trained somewhere.
Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, one of the rules in there says if you look at a man, judge how he's in bed. I didn't get it. And I'm like, if you're not taking care of your fucking woman...
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
You don't feel like a man. You don't feel like a man, though.
Yeah, I see you.
So, like, you might be getting sex, but are you pleasing them? And if you're not, that's another. Sex is not. It's not just fucking. There's more that goes into.
We
fucking.
need that for our fragile male egos. We need to feel like.
I don't know if it's necessarily an ego thing. Like
no, it makes me feel good when I get my.
That's what I'm saying in a good way.
Right. Yeah, fucking get right.
Yeah, but you got to go into it giving. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And the woman's receiving.
But I'm saying
hashtag let them finish first, boys. What? Let them finish first.
I'm hashtag same time. I always like same time.
Same time.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Yeah, let's
that's
sync.
How you get kids, bro.
Let's sync up our energy fields.
No, that's how you
let's
get
sync
kids,
up our
bro.
energy fields.
In this podcast.
Our chakras align.
You're one of those dudes.
Hey, no,
missionary only for Jared.
Missionary.
I want to give a shout out to Jared though, where he was one of and it's a very very big pivot. sorry, but Jared was one of the key components in what made me realize I wanted to be a dad. Real talk. My wife had a son beforehand, and I was cool with that. I was like, I'm just going to be this positive influence of this little bro, right? And then she was my girlfriend at the time, but she got pregnant, and I was like, I never wanted a kid.
Did you not pull out?
No, bro, I did not.
See,
that's how it usually works.
Are always busting.
That's how it usually works. No, bro, you just get comfortable, bro. Shit happens. You know what I'm saying?
No, I've probably come on a girl twice in my life, and I'm usually on birth control.
That's because you're hopping around being a man whore.
You guys are out fucking playing the roulette table over here, dropping loads.
Dude, sometimes it just happens.
Never
when you find a woman you
love,
love,
it does not just happen.
When you find a woman you love,
about?
So it was like it wasn't like
I'm not saying it shouldn't happen.
It was more like a situation where like if it happens, it happens. Okay, we'll deal with it, right? We have avenues to deal with it if we wanted to deal with it. But I was just going in my head heavy, like, do I want this? Is this for me? Am I good enough human for all these different types of things? And Jared said one of the best things that was ever said to me straight up. And I've told this to a couple of my other friends that have had, like, do I want a kid and stuff? It's like, dude, good men, good people need to have kids. Like, more good men, more good people need to have kids. Right? I used to think it was horrendous for the environment. I used to think it was selfish in this act and all these weird different types of things. But, man, more good men, more good humans.
And you know
need
about
to have kids.
And of course,
that's what will make the earth better.
But you know the stats on crime if they don't have a dad in the household. And I said more good men need to raise kids for a reason, too, because...
That's what he said to me.
70% of the people in prison are raised by single mothers.
Right.
But the funny thing is, if they're raised by just the father, it's the same as a two-parent household.
Yeah, exactly.
So the father is so important, especially a man. Like the girl, my neighbor, she was raised by her dad had like schizophrenia or something like that, so like he couldn't be around. But she's raised by her mother, and I said it's fine for you because you're a girl. But I was like, if you were a man, I don't like a woman can't raise a man.
You would have been a degenerate.
Yes,
I fully believe that
they can't raise a man. They don't even know what a man is.
I wouldn't have believed that back in the day, but now as raising my kids and. They definitely like the love from their mom. You can't replicate that. She does everything for them. That's great. But without me, there are a few times where the discipline comes, just a few times where I'm willing to be like, I'm training a future adult here, where I have that perspective and not. It's very easy to be the suffering mother and to spoil the kids. It's so easy to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, because they're so bonded. This is a person that came right out of their body. Yeah. Like, that's a hard thing. But for the man, you can sit there with a little bit more, maybe literally physical detachment. And you can be like...
I also got this theory, too, where it's like... So the reason that it's like that, I feel like, but even more so, a little bit less when you talk about, like, parents and their grandparents, how, like, the grandparents can be all nice and the parents can kind of be mean. It's like, dude... I see myself in my daughter, and I can get mad at myself, right? Like, you know what I'm trying to say here, where it's like, I see her doing these things that I used to do or acting like me, and it like invites this weird anger inside of me because I see myself and I'm like, dude, like, I'm just so angry at that thing for being like, it's just this weird thing. And then like you go one step removed where it's that grandparent, they don't see themselves just like they saw themselves in you. They don't see themselves in that little itty bitty grandchild anymore. So they're just like, they just want to love it and bring it in.
They can overdo it. And
yeah. And but it almost does it sometimes for the mother as well. Like where it's like, you know, you can only love that thing.
Fucking pee again?
Yeah, it does.
This is the third time he's
and then like you said, that man is there, and you could do it because
can you hear that
I think my mom did. Yeah, right. Is the pee on the audio? Make sure it's. I want to get it.
I want
him to hear how good his stream is.
Sounds like it's lacking a little.
But
protein.
no, I think some women, right? Because I could have 100% been a statistics. I probably should have. I was raised in a single mother home, very, very poverty stricken, very low income, needed food stamps, needed all these different things.
Poverty for America standards, though.
Yeah. I mean, still didn't mean it didn't hurt and not feel
Chris
good
got back
for
from
me.
India.
You know what I'm saying? But I should have been that statistic where I shouldn't have gone through it. My mom did a great job of playing the dad role in a sense of how she knew how she could, which was to be strict, right? So and it's not just that. So obviously we're all damaged in some weird way, but having that ability to have those two sides of the coin is just so massive. Like you need the love, you need the anger, you need all of that stuff, and you
I'm not
get
saying that single like all kids from single moms.
No,
are
I know.
Obviously,
but if we talk about percentages, it's okay to do that. It's okay to talk about
that's
percentages.
I walk on eggshells though if I say that.
I know. But like anybody who's educated and they start to dive in, it's like, well, what do you mean by that? And you're like, well, man, I don't mean that everybody's fucked up and women can't do a good job. No. It's really hard. It's really hard for a woman to do that. It's really hard for a single person. It's like, it's fine to say.
Yeah.
It's fine to say, right? And anybody who says it's not, that instantly bitches, whether it's right on the right or the left, those aren't humans. And that's why these types of conversations are what's cool and what's good. Because it's like, I know what you mean by that. I know that you're not saying all poor people or all women or colored people or whatever. Doesn't matter.
Are we going to go choke people?
Oh, yeah. Is it about that time?
You guys
I told some homies to get us going. But
yeah, I figured you were texting them.
Yeah,
so thanks for
this was dope, man.
hanging out, being on my first podcast, guys.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get canceled.
It went smoother.
It was fun. We were just us bullshitting up here like I hoped it would be. So
for the podcast.
Shout out Brian for making it work, bro. Appreciate you, big dog, behind the camera.
Thanks, Brian.
Shit was dope. I'm sure we'll do this again.
Oh, so you have all the cameras. You don't have to switch them. You just record all of them. And then you
well, when you edit it, you put it together on however, like you link the audio, I'm sure, and then whatever
I'm
frame
having a problem
you
linking my audio with my video.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm
it
using USB.
desyncs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a millisecond off, so it's delayed. And I'm like, I don't know. I got to figure it out.
Yeah, we do got to get going, big dog, for trying to go.
All right, guys. Thanks
I
for being
love
on
y'all.
today.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks,
Shout out y'all. Hopefully I
Thank
didn't
you.
say too much dumb shit. Love you, big dog.
Thanks, dude. Let's just do a quick picture.
Hell yeah. Good stuff.
All we do is talk about